You're listening to Going Viral, No One Should Die from Embarrassment, the podcast that explores the conundrum of anal cancer and precancer, a podcast that can save lives. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Gans, anal dysplasia expert and gynecologist.
And I'm your co-host, Mary Jo Murphy, registered nurse, anal cancer survivor, and patient advocate.
We are sponsored by IANS, International Anal Neoplasia Society, the premier society for anal cancer and precancer treatment. This is a podcast for providers, patients, and everyone in the realm of anal cancer and precancer, research, prevention, and treatment. We will interview really cool, smart, interesting people who are international experts in the field.
And we will have deep, heart-to-heart conversations with patients, providers, advocates, and everyone in between.
We're going to talk about your bottom and the bottom line. There's a conundrum. Anal cancer is out there and yet it's being missed. We on this podcast are going to fix this. We will help solve the riddle. How do you find a disease that no one's looking for?
You'll hear practical, life-saving information with no shame or judgment that will empower you to speak up and speak out about what concerns you. If you're a patient, tune in to the next 25 minutes. You might be at risk, but you feel embarrassed. Awareness can change your thinking and the course of a disease that's being missed.
If you're a provider, don't miss it. The next 25 minutes are anal cancer. Good afternoon. Alana Stewart is a model, actress, talk show host, author, documentary filmmaker, and president of the Farrah Fawcett Foundation, a nonprofit founded by Farrah in 2007 to support cutting-edge HPV cancer research and prevention programs and provides financial assistance for patients in need. We are grateful for the Foundation's collaboration helping to create IANS, the International Anal Neoplasia Society. IANS is the world's first professional society devoted to prevention and treatment of anal cancer and precancer. The foundation generously funds the Farrah Fawcett Memorial Lecture on Scientific Meetings. This year, we meet in Puerto Rico. Alana, we hope you will join us. So let's welcome her this afternoon.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Eric. Hi, Mary Jo. And
Hi,
I would love to go to Puerto Rico if that's an invitation.
It is,
Absolutely
is.
Yes.
I think it would be great to have you there. Usually you do a video to introduce the lecturer, but it would be lovely to have you there in person. So give it some thought.
If we could work that out, that would be great. I might have to figure out how to bring Christine with me too. So
she's invited as well. Anyway, so one of the things that Farrah said is, what are you fighting for? And I'm guessing that with your work, you must ask yourself that question every day. Would you tell us about Farrah's vision of her foundation and what do you think she meant by that?
Well, Farrah started the foundation in 2007, right after she was diagnosed with anal cancer. And her intention was to run it herself. And she wanted to have her friends involved. And when we were on our travels in Germany, when she was getting treatment there, we talked about a lot of things that she wanted to do. And one of the things she wanted to do was bring attention to lesser researched cancers like anal cancer. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like that's something that we're doing. And she was very passionate about also helping people battling with cancer. So we have besides supporting cutting edge research, we have patient assistance funds around the country in different institutions to help people who are in financial need and getting in the middle of their cancer treatment. Mm-hmm. So I think that it was important to those were the two of the things that were very important to Farrah. And also one of the things I think that's important to us is the prevention and awareness aspect, because as you know, the more we know, the more we get our checkups regularly. I mean, those can be life-saving. Early detection is everything. And if Farrah had maybe listened to her body and paid attention to some symptoms that she'd been having for a while, she could be with us today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a problem. Dr. Gantz is a gynecologist.
Yes, so I'm a gynecologist and who is an expert, I would like to think that, in anal dysplasia, and run the lower genital tract dysplasia center here at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston. And and being part of IANS has really helped me sort of spearhead your vision with Farrah, sort of to help, identify and help women, especially women. And I think for me, I just have found out, I personally, just to let you know, personally for me, my sister-in-law died of this disease 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry.
yeah, thank you. And it was a complete tragedy. And I think that if she had been screened, or I mean, in today's world, maybe she would, like you said, maybe she would still be alive. Um, and so this is why we're having this today. So,
Well,
but
the
I
other,
just want
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I just wanted to say the other interesting thing, or tragic thing really, is Farrah had a colonoscopy either 9 months to a year before this diagnosis, and somehow it was missed, or unless it was, such an aggressive cancer. But I mean, you wouldn't know better than me, but I don't think it could a cancer that was a stage 4 could happen within 9 months to a year, right?
You're absolutely right. And it's interesting. My sister-in-law also was diagnosed with stage 4 anal cancer, and also had literally 9 months before, 10 months before, had a full GYN exam about a year before, in the operating room for a completely different reason. And they never found the 7 centimeter mass that was there. Now,
That's
clearly, I know it's shocking. So,
shocking
um,
and tragic. And I hear that happens. And I want to ask you a question. Because in the past, over the years, many years with gynecologists, I never had a gynecologist do an anal exam. And more recently, in the last number of years, I've heard that they are supposed to, or that it's something that should be done.
so you bring up a great point. I'm one of the educators here for our department, and I really teach our residents going into obstetrics and gynecology. I think there's just this like magic line on the when you do the GYN exam, and that the residents feel like, oh, I'm not going below that. I'm not going to examine the anus. I'm not examining the rectum. And I'm like, that is part of a GYN exam. And so for me, my active goal is that every resident graduating here will learn that doing a GYN exam is to do a rectal exam. That could be life-saving for many, many women.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. Well, thank God that you're teaching that. I even asked my gynecologist about it, because I asked her to do them. I started asking her to do. I had switched over to a different doctor for a period of time, and he was a cancer specialist. And he said, "Oh, yes, your gynecologist." He was the one who told me. He said, "Your gynecologist should always do an anal exam, and they should be asked to do it if they don't." So
right.
then when he moved away and I went back to my old gynecologist, and she's a professor, by the way, at this well-known institution. And I said, "Do you normally do that?" And she said, "Well, no, we don't." And I said, "Why?" And I think that, like, part of the reason she gave me, I don't know, it didn't make sense, but like some people don't want it, or are offended by it or something. It was some kind of a strange answer, I thought.
I
Mm.
think you bring up some great points. And I think that your foundation and Farrah's foundation is going to really, I mean, will help with, groundbreaking research in this area, but also in the area to help identify ways to sort of breach this sort of barrier that we're having. Like there's like a barrier of not being able to going forward to do exams. Like we're not getting to these patients. And I think that's a huge area for research. I did want to ask a question. The Farrah Fawcett Foundation collaborates with Stand Up to Cancer, and what about Farrah's vision inspires you as you decide on what research to fund? Like, I mean, I guess you sit around in a room and you decide, well, this is what should be funded or what this should be funded. How do you decide that?
Well, if we get a grant request, from an institution, Chris and I will look at it first, and Chris will actually go over it and see if it is within, our mission statement, and that is usually anal cancer or other HPV related cancers, but particularly anal cancer. And then if it really does seem like a worthy proposal, we get all of the specific information from them, and we take it to our board. And we have our medical advisor and board member is Dr. Lawrence Pirro, and he's an oncologist. And we have another doctor on the board too. So the board discusses it and we make a decision that way.
Sounds great. Thank you for sharing about that. I think Mary Jo, did you want to?
I wanted to back up with the colonoscopy thing, because that's a way that some people's tumors were found, mine specifically. But a lot of times the way they do the colonoscopy, they're not paying attention to the end of the GI tract. And I think that's another part of awareness, because the people that work in this field are different disciplines, and one of them are GI doctors. And if they could spend a little more time in that area, a lot of these things would be picked up early or earlier, or certainly not at stage 4.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think I don't know if it was IANS, but there was something that at one point, and forgive me because I'm not remembering this correctly, but there was something that we funded to help educate primary care doctors, and because sometimes people are diagnosed with hemorrhoids as opposed to, and it actually is anal cancer. And I know someone personally who went through that, who was diagnosed as having a hemorrhoid.
You know me. That's my story too.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's yours too.
Yeah. It's very common, and a lot of times people just walk away and take that as their diagnosis until either they're worried enough about it to go seek another opinion, or the cancer progresses. But yeah, that's
especially in small towns, or places where people are really just seeing a primary doctor and not the town doctor or something instead of a specialist, that there has to be more education done in this area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've gotten more, I think I talk now more about prevention and awareness than we did in the beginning, because that saves lives.
Yeah, we've all evolved, Alana, in terms of what we talk about. We've all learned, and certainly women are not always the first one that a primary care doctor will think about as being a person who might get anal cancer.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Mary Jo. I think, if you look at the 60% of all anal cancers in the United States are women. And so I think a lot of people just think it's a gay man's disease, and it's not. It's really, a woman's disease. And I think people need to get their head wrapped around that.
I actually know more women, or either know personally or know of more women than men that have had it.
Yeah.
Another question is, as Farrah Fawcett's best friend, you stayed by her side from the time her anal cancer was diagnosed in 2006 until her passing 3 years later. You helped her cope with surgeries, chemotherapy, radiation, and including the media as well. Um, People who are listening are likely providing support like you did for their people who are they're taking care of. What advice can you offer them, including, I guess, my brother, for example, should have listened to you 10 years ago, but what advice can you give them?
I think it's really, I think that's a great question because it's one of the things I wrote about in my book too, because as a friend or parent or spouse or whatever, caregiver of the person that is battling cancer, that person doesn't get attention because all the attention is on the person, and rightly so, the person that's battling for their life. But sometimes I think it's important to acknowledge that the person that's how stressful it is for being with a loved one. Because I know for me personally, I always had to be strong. Farrah was very strong. I mean, she was a very, very strong woman, and she fought like hell. And but there were times where I had to be really strong when I really kind of wanted to put my head under the covers and cry, because it was such a new experience for me, and it was so scary. And it was like jumping into some deep black hole that you're not familiar with any of this. It's all new. And obviously it was all new to her. And you're going through this. And when she died, I became physically ill because I had just run myself down, and the stress was so tremendous and the anxiety. And I never could afford the luxury to cry, or, at least not around her, or to really take care of myself, in a way I probably should have. And I just think that's really important for the person who's caring for somebody to take care of themselves at the same time, because if you don't, you're not really going to be able to be there 100% for them. And it's a very, very difficult thing to go through, to watch somebody that you love battling for their life.
You wrote in your book, I reread your book. I had read it once, but in preparation for this, I reread it, and that picked up a lot of things that I hadn't the first time through. But you talked about how you couldn't be available for your family or your dogs or for holidays, because you were often pulled away to go spend time helping Farrah. So that, I think those sacrifices that you made are things that people do. And as you said, in the end, you felt spent, and you had to go through your own mourning after that, I'm sure.
Well, it was tough, because at one point I was in Germany with her, and my younger son, was going through a very difficult experience. Actually, he was in rehab, and they were having Parents' Day, and they needed the parents to come. And I was trying to figure out how I could get on a plane, fly back for 2 days, and come back again. But it was right at a crucial time where Farrah was going to have a procedure, and it was really tough. I had to make a choice, and it was heartbreaking. It was really, really hard.
Yeah, it sounds
Difficult.
very, very like a very difficult position to be in. I wanted to bring up another thing here. You also filmed and produced the Emmy-nominated documentary Farrah's Story, which I need to let you know, I thought was amazing. And I've actually, and I do have to admit this, I've used snippets of that story in many, many, many grand rounds that I give about anal cancer, anal dysplasia, high resolution anoscopy. It's sort of I use it as the first thing that I show the audience to get them sort of centered and aware and listening. And it's so grappling that everybody just stops and listens, and then they can listen to me afterwards. But I wanted to say thank you for letting me do that. I hope I give you credit. So I want to say that right now. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's, we're trying to work on getting that re-released and on a streaming service or something, because so many people have wanted to see it and have asked
Yes.
about it. And we wanted to put it out like on a Netflix or an Amazon or something. And for various reasons, first of all, we weren't able to because we had to obtain all the music rights again. And we had to
Oh,
go through
really?
a
Oh my
very
God.
well, because we only had the rights for a certain number of years. The documentary reverted back to Farrah once NBC had shown it. They had a number of showings. They could show it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times or whatever, and then it reverted back to her. So now the foundation owns it, and we really want to re-release it because so many people have asked about it.
Mm-hmm. And you were very brave to do that filming, and she was brave, I guess, to let you do it, to really see what this experience was like without the glamour.
Yeah, she was amazing because there were times when I would literally stop the camera and because she was throwing up or something, and she'd go, no, film it, because this is what cancer is. If we're going to do this, then we do it. And I didn't even know how to work a camera. I mean, I could barely, turn one on. I had no idea. It was just like a foreign thing to me. It was her camera, and she handed it to me in our first meeting in Germany, which I'm sure you just read in my book. And I looked at it and went, I don't know how to use this. But I learned really fast. And then we really got into it. And it was just the two of us. And I think that's why it turned out the way it did, where it felt like a more intimate look, because there were no people, there were no directors, there were no lighting people, there were no microphone. It was just us and a little camera.
Yeah.
And I think that's
it's
what made it so real, intimate,
right. Right.
and truthful.
Yeah. It was very candid and frank, as was your book. I think that your book is very candid. Your feelings and what you went through, a lot of people could relate. And there was one part of it I related to, especially when I went through my treatment. I have sisters, and so my sisters and a dear cousin came and took care of me and sat by my side, and I can never repay them for what they did for me. And Farrah didn't go through her ordeal alone. And there's a moving notation in the book where she says to you that you're more than a sister. And I just thought that was an amazing moment, because I understand sisterhood, and I just wonder if you could comment on that.
Well, I remember that so distinctly because we were in her hospital room, and it was about, a week before she died, I would think. And Farrah was the kind of person that was not a real, she was very affectionate, with her son, with her friends, with Ryan, but she wasn't a person who discussed her feelings. She wasn't one of those deep kind of, that she hadn't really been in therapy and a lot of deep self-examination. She was just kind of very straightforward. She was a very simple, complicated woman, if that makes sense. But so we never really talked about, she would tell me how grateful she was that I came. And then like sometimes she would say, oh, you don't have to come. I can get, on this next trip, I can get, I can get somebody else to come. And, I feel so bad. I'm taking you away from your home and the dogs and your kids. And I go, no, I'm coming, because I knew how to handle it all, and I knew the German doctors and everything. So, I would always go. And so that last week, we were talking, we were alone in her bedside, and I think I took her hand and I just said, I just want you to know, maybe I've never said this, but I just really love you. Like you're you're my sister. And that's when she looked at me. She could barely get the words out. She just kind of almost mouthed them. And she said, more than a sister.
Wow.
And
That's
boy,
beautiful.
yeah. I used to go home from the hospital and get in a hot tub and late at night and cry. And I had a dog that I loved, a big dog, a French Mastiff. And she would come in the bathroom and she would lie down next to where I was in the tub and just lie there. She never did that, but she just knew, that I needed some support,
Yeah. Yeah. Dogs are amazing. I noticed you've got one sitting next to you.
Oh, I didn't know if you could see or not.
I love the breed.
Say hi, Prince.
Oh,
Oh,
so
gorgeous.
beautiful.
It's a yellow lab.
Well, he's a white polar bear.
A white, yeah.
A white polar bear lab, and he's my son's dog, and I'm babysitting. My son went away for 3 weeks, and he's a big fella. He's 115 pounds.
Oh my Lord.
And I just love this dog. He's so sweet. I'm not going to give him back.
I have 2 border collies, and and they're very active dogs, and they were both really young. And when I went through my treatment, I was very worried that they would be getting into trouble. And because I was sick for several months afterwards, they just sat next to me the whole time. They both got really fat. They just decided that was their job, to be with me. So I get that coming and being with you when you're crying or needing something. That's beautiful.
Well, that's so important for you too, to have that. It's like animals are so, I think, in sync with us,
Yeah, they are. So I'm wondering, your story to me is, especially in reading the book, is about women standing together and about friendship and the value of faith. You talked about that. And I'm just wondering, what life lessons did you learn and that you take with you? I mean, we all who have been through trauma take lessons into life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think the whole experience, it changed me profoundly. I in a way that might not ever have happened, or it certainly, at least not that quickly. I just learned how valuable life is, and how we really need to just try to live every moment and enjoy every moment, be grateful for every moment. And I don't always do that. Believe me, I wish I did. I have to constantly be reminded. But that, and the other piece of that is to really appreciate the people we love and to let them know it and just value them, And I feel like we're always rushing so much in life, and I know I live that way still. But one of the things the experience with Farrah taught me, and as I said, I forget easily, but was that just to slow down, and enjoy your dog, when your dog comes to the door and I'm rushing in the door because I got a million things on my mind, and I pat him on the head, and it just taught me to try to take a minute and be present, be present, and especially with the people in your life that you love.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We're getting close to the end, aren't we, Eric?
Yes, we're getting close to the end, but I really wanted to give you the opportunity. I know you have a gala fundraiser coming up in September, and I really wanted you to share with the audience about it, and also share with the audience sort of if they want to give to the Farrah Fawcett Foundation and how they would do that, and what's the best way. I know this is an audio, but if you could just share maybe like an online thing or something, what's the best way to do it?
Our website is farrahfawcettfoundation.org. really easy to remember, farrahfawcettfoundation.org. And on our website, we have, we have a store where you can buy the great t-shirts and things, which everyone can't see, that Mary Jo's wearing.
I'm gonna buy one, actually.
Great t-shirts and sweatshirts and mugs, and I think we still have beach towels, and we have a company that makes them for us, and a large percentage goes to the foundation. So that's one thing. But there's also resources for help, like Mary Jo. You're on the website. People call us often, or they'll go to the website to look for resources or help with if they're struggling with cancer. So people can do that. There's a lot of information on our website and connections to other foundations that do work in the same kind of arena that might be more specialized. And there's a place to donate too. And I just want to say this because it's unusual. We're a nonprofit, but Farrah gave a large part of her estate to the foundation. And so the money that people donate, it doesn't go to running our office or to our salaries or to any expenses of running the foundation. It all goes to research or patient assistance funds or prevention and awareness programs.
So that's wonderful.
I always think that's important to let people know, because a lot of foundations, when you give money to them, a percentage of it goes to their fancy offices or something. And also it's just me and Christine. We run the foundation ourselves. We're a small organization, and every bit of the money that's donated to us goes to either, as I said, cancer research or patient assistance programs. And so that's, I think, an important thing to note. And we've been doing our Tex-Mex Fiesta since, as Mary Jo's been to a few of them in Los Angeles. And we started doing them in Dallas right after COVID, because people here just weren't, they weren't into going out again yet. They were still wearing their mask while they were walking their dogs 3 years later. But in Texas, you would think that COVID never existed, and we have a connection there in Dallas. Besides Farrah being from Texas and I'm from Texas, we participated in an event in 2016 and we raised money for a place there called Hope Lodge. And they have a few of these around the country, and they provide accommodations, lodging and food for people who are battling cancer, who come from out of town and don't have money, who are in financial straits. So it's a wonderful place, and they built it, and we helped raise money to build a room in Farrah's name. And so we thought, well, let's go back to Dallas and let's do it there. And we have friends there, and we have Hope Lodge there, and we'll give part of the proceeds go to Hope Lodge, and part of the proceeds go to Stand Up to Cancer for our research. So we have the best of both worlds, because we raise money for the research, which is so important, but we also raise money to help people who are actually battling cancer.
That sounds wonderful. Sounds wonderful. We could really talk forever, and for me, this has been such a pleasure to get to meet you and have you talk about the foundation. So for me, it's been wonderful. Unfortunately, because of time, we do have to end our conversation. And Mary Jo and I want to thank you for all the work you do to help with anal dysplasia, anal cancer, and helping people around the world. I do want to share, since we are sponsored by IANS, which is the International Anal Neoplasia Society, I do want to share with the people on the podcast right now how to get involved with IANS as a patient or a provider. Please go to www.iansociety.org. That is IANSOCIETY.org for more information. So I want to thank you again for a wonderful, wonderful podcast. So thank you.
Thanks,
Alana.
Eric, and thank you, Mary Jo, for all that you two do. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
We
Wonderful.
enjoyed
Thank
it.
you. We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
It flew by so fast.
Yes, it
Oh, it
did.
did. Bye-bye.
Bye
Bye.
now.